Noting the presence of quorum, I call the Boxborough Select Board meeting to order. Today is August 12th and the time is 7:02 p.m. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start with the announcements. The state primary is on September 3rd, the day after Labor Day. The deadline to apply for vote by mail ballot is Monday, August 26th. Early voting starts Saturday, August 24th from 1 to 5 p.m. and runs August 26th to the 29th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Town Hall. This is for the primary, right? The early voting and the mail-in ballots. Okay. There will be a flag retirement ceremony at Woodlawn Cemetery in Acton on Saturday, September 21st at 3 p.m. with a rain date of September 22nd. If you are unable to attend and have flags you wish to retire, please contact the Boxborough's Veterans Agent, James McRae, at 978-929-6614 or jmacrae at actonma.gov. Boxborough News is expanding its web presence. In addition to publishing news on the website, Boxborough News can be found on Facebook and Instagram. Follow for headlines and updates throughout the week. The Boxborough Connects bus service has added 2 new stops to its route, Codman Hill Apartments and Acton Food Pantry. For detailed information on the town's bus service, please visit the town's website under Department, Town Planner, Transportation in Boxborough. I thought they always did the Codman Hill. No? This is new?
No, that was just added. Yeah, that was just added about 2 weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Codman Hill was just added.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much the announcement. Anybody else have any announcements or anything?
Yes, the transfer station, please everyone get your stickers. I know we're already into the halfway through August, so please get your 2025 transfer station stickers. They're required for every resident. Some people can get them for free if you're over that special age, but a car is required. A sticker is required for every car entering the transfer station. Thank you.
All right. So,
Can I make one?
yes, go ahead.
Comment?
Yeah.
I spent some time with Kelly the other day. I looked over the website and I saw a number of people who weren't on the website under committees or were there but with old dates or went on. So I just want to emphasize that the people who are new to being on committees, they have to come down to the office, to Becky Harris's office, the town clerk, and do their swearing
in. Yes.
So without the swearing in, you don't end up on the website. That's the first thing. So and for those people who are already on committees and we appointed them again for another fee, they still need to come down and do that. So it's new and renewed membership.
Yes.
Please be sure to swear in.
Yeah, and without swearing in, you can't vote either, right? Like even if you're a member of the committee, you won't be able to vote.
That's right. So but I'm sure voting's going on now without that. So
okay.
It's
would
been
be a problem.
Well, it's been almost a month, right, since we've done that. So there've been some meetings, I'm sure.
Mike, do we have a list of like who are the people who haven't sworn in yet, or like we?
Yes, the town clerk's list. They have that list.
Okay.
And I can check with them tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, Becky had that. She mentioned to me she's got a folder of everybody. She sends out emails to the folks.
She does send out. I was going to say like if we can reach out to them. Yeah.
Some people are busy or whatever, but they need to make the time to take care of that.
All right. Okay, so moving on to the public hearing, right? Transfer of the liquor license. So Noting the presence of quorum and the time at 7:07 PM, I call the public hearing to order for the transfer of liquor license. Is that how I'm supposed to say it? All right. The discussion will be about Kami Corp. D/B/A. I'm not sure what that means. Sorry
Doing
about
business
that.
as.
Okay. In Flamingo Market at 104 Mass Ave, transfer of liquor license application. So, yeah. Do you guys have any discussion, anything?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure what the general process is, if they present first, or if they take questions from the select board.
Questions from you, if you had questions. So Matt Porter is online and,
Who's representing her? Should we address our questions to Matt or to?
sure, probably Matt.
Okay.
I would say.
Matt, can you hear us?
Oh, we can't hear.
Jump in.
Yes,
I certainly,
we
so thanks for having us. I'd certainly be happy to just give a brief presentation, and then with that, I can answer any questions that the board may have. My clients here as well.
That's fine, Matt. Why don't you start?
Great. So before the board, this is the transfer of the all alcohol package store license at 104 Mass Ave. That's currently doing business as Grapevine. I represent Kami Corp., who's under agreement to purchase the real estate and the business. Along with me on this call is Kior Patel. Mr. Patel is the 100% owner of Kami Corp. He's also the proposed license manager, meaning he'd be the individual there 40 to 50, probably more hours a week running this business. So before the board, as I said, this is the application to transfer the license to Kami Corp. Mr. Patel is a very experienced operator, owns a store in Andover, lives in the area. He also owned a store recently down in Attleboro, which they just sold. And so this is a new project for him, basically taking over this business and breathing some new light into it. He will be rebranding it as Flamingo Market. But from an outward perspective, there'll be no major changes to the operation of the business. So no changes to the hour, no structural changes to the business. So as I said, Mr. Patel, very experienced operator, alcohol tip certified. They take this very seriously. This is their livelihood. They'll make sure there's a scanning machine in place as well. There is financing being done here by Rockland Trust. And so Rockland Trust, and I can certainly explain this in a bit more detail, but Rockland Trust is requesting a pledge of that liquor license. So in addition to the transfer, which we're asking to be approved by the board tonight, we'd also be asking the board to approve the pledge of that license. But that's it in a nutshell. Certainly, I'm happy to answer any additional questions the board may have. As I said, Mr. Patel is with us as well and can answer any questions.
I've got just a couple of questions.
Sure.
I believe, or I used to know, there were one or two apartments above the liquor store. Are they still there? Are the apartments still there, and are the tenants still going to stay there?
The apartments are there. I'm not sure what the overall plan is with the tenants themselves. But yeah, before the board here, we're not trying to license any portion of that premises. This would just be related to the transfer. I'm not sure what the overall plan is for the tenancies. Mr. Patel, may be able to answer that, but certainly wasn't part of the application here.
So he wouldn't be expanding into a storage area up above it by getting rid of those apartments?
No. The licensed premises is the licensed premises that is currently operated, and certainly if they were to ever expand, they'd have to go back before the board and alter that. They'd have to alter the license to make sure that those spaces were licensed as well, even just for storage. But as of now, there's nothing changing as far as the licensed premises. I think is 4,200 square feet is what it is, and that's all that's being asked for right now.
And then I think you said he's also purchasing all of the real estate, so the building and the land?
Yep. So building, land, and the store. Yep, everything's being purchased.
Great, thank you.
And as I said, Rockland Trust is financing the transaction. They've already given an approval. So he has this commitment in place, and now we just got to work our way through the licensing process.
Okay. Mr. Patel, did you want to make any statement, anything?
No, I'll be fine. Whatever the Matt says, it should be basically I run for a long time, so I'll be fine running this the same as whatever running right now.
Okay, so I got a few questions. So I went looking for flamingo markets because trying to figure out, it must be, is it a chain or what exactly is it? So I did see the Attleboro, but I walked away from the laptop thinking, all right, I don't really know what this is, so I'll have to ask the questions when I get there. I thought it was Flamingo Markets was sort of a convenience store type of thing, but it doesn't sound like, it sounds like we're just talking about the sale of alcoholic beverages with this transfer. Is that right?
Yeah.
Matthew?
Correct. Yeah, there's no chain here. They purchased a store in Attleboro that was recently sold, and they had some success with just that name itself. And here, the thought process really is just that the store, it has fallen off a bit, and so this is just part of a rebranding process, in deciding to change that name up and give it a little bit more of a fresh look. But it's not. From an outward perspective, it's really just a name change. It's not a chain, and certainly it doesn't change the aspect of how the business is being operated in any sort of way.
Okay. So is this new for Mr. Patel to be selling alcohol, or was it sold in the other places?
Nope. He has a store in Andover. If you look through the application, I believe Section 6, I believe, lists the other licenses. So he had the store in Attleboro for a period of time that had a beer and wine license. They sold that business, and he's also owned a business in Andover, which has a full all alcohol license. So this is right in his wheelhouse. And both stores are run very responsibly, no violations, no underage sales, anything along those lines. So he brings a wealth of experience here.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask about, if there were any prior violations with the, because I know the Alcoholic Beverage Commission, they send people out and to sort of test places and see, so Mr. Patel has a clean record?
Yeah, no violations, and as I said, he has his alcohol tips training. They require all their employees to be alcohol safe certified as well. So each and every employee will be certified, and they'll have them do those continuous classes, and then in addition to that, they put a scanning machine in all their places, which does its best to stay on top of any fake IDs or things along those lines. So, yeah.
And Mr. Patel will be the primary person there during this day-to-day.
Yeah, he's the license manager. So ABCC requires the license be there. Really just a bare minimum of 40 hours. But as Mr. Patel would say, in that industry, that he's going to clear 40 and then some. So I'm sure he'll be there far more than they require. But he'll be the on-site manager. He's a 100% owner. He'll be the person managing the store as well.
Well, if our chair was able to be with us tonight, she would ask Mr. Patel, "What do you like about Boxborough?"
Good choice.
I will let him answer that question.
It's a good town. I like the tiny good town. It's okay.
What
I like
say
Andover.
better than
It's
okay.
similar to the Andover, so it's a similar town. I like it.
So, do you like the lime green paint job on the building?
Oh yeah, it look a little bit like a parrot, but should be fine.
Okay.
What will be the hours of operation?
So there's no changes to the hours. Kelly may have an answer to that and more readily available than we would, but we're not asking for any request of change of hours. So with the transfer of license, the hours will remain the same. I don't know if Kelly can clarify what those are right now, but I can certainly get that to her and coordinate that with her tomorrow. But there's no request for any change.
Anybody else has any questions from the
Wes,
audience?
anything?
Wes? No? Anyone from Zoom land? Any questions? Okay. We ready to vote?
Yeah, and if I may just say one more thing. So when the board brings forth its vote, the ABCC requires that in addition to requesting an approval of the transfer of license, There is, as I said earlier, and I can answer any questions of this as well, but there's a request for a pledge of inventory and the license to Rockland Trust. So that would need to be a part of the vote as well.
So is this pending
What does that
all
mean?
that? What does that mean?
It's a pledge.
So, pledge of the inventory, in other words, they're lending towards not just the building and the license, but also the inventory in the store? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so a pledge is, it's a security instrument. So, sort of the easiest analogous way to think of it would be a mortgage on a property. So here, there's real estate. So the Rockland Trust will take a mortgage on the property, but they also take what's called a pledge of license. And what that does is if for whatever reason, and I do not believe this will be the case here at all, but if Mr. Patel's corporation was unable to make the payments on their loan, this is similar to the way that the bank would be able to foreclose on a property, they pledge the license, meaning that it's secured against the license. That being said, even if the bank ever had to act on that, and the bank was looking to sell that license after they took it back, the bank needs to come before the board as well. So it's a security instrument, but it doesn't take it out of the control of the bank or the board rather. The board would still have to approve anybody. The same way if Mr. Patel was selling the license, they'd have to come before you. If the bank ever foreclosed on the license, they'd have to come back before you as well.
So Mike, will our,
And that's standard. So in the top of the license, second checkbox down, they've got check transfer of license. So that's part of the sale of the property.
okay.
Yeah,
So
so
it's not
yeah, the
an
ABCC allows us to do it as a single application. So it just becomes a part of the application before the board.
Yes.
So, Matt, I thank you for answering that pledge question. Just a clarification, the town, by our vote, isn't financially responsible for the liquor store of any sort, is it?
Oh God, no, not at all. So it's very common, and the reason that it's common to see a pledge of license is that there's value to the licenses, obviously, and so the bank doesn't want to lose control of that license itself. But the board is in no way responsible financially for any of it. You're essentially just allowing that license to be pledged, which is very common, on package store transactions nowadays because of the value of the licenses. So the bank is just making sure that they're properly secured. The town is not on the hook in any sort of way, and you're also not, giving up any, oversight over that license. Because as I said, even if the bank were to foreclose on that license, the bank is not in the business of operating a package store, obviously. So if they were looking to sell it to somebody else after taking it back, the board is still able to vet that person, and you'd still have a right to approve or disapprove of whatever that transfer was. So there really is no control being given up by the board, and certainly there's no financial obligations to the board whatsoever.
Great, thank you.
So Matt, it's really just our acknowledgement that
Correct.
that the stock that's in there is going along with the license. Right?
Yeah, it's an acknowledgement that the bank is securing its loan against the license in the business is essentially what it is.
Nothing
Because
gets
if the board were not able to do it, then it wouldn't properly be secured. So
And this is the same way that the license was transferred with Boxborough Liquors
Okay.
when that was recently done by the board.
So, I'll make a motion.
Is it-
Okay. I move to approve the liquor license transfer from Robert Hirsch, DBA Grapevine, to Kimi Corp., DBA Flamingo Market at 104 Mass Ave, contingent on the receipt of the liquor license annual fee and the pledge of inventory.
Second.
Is that accurate? Okay.
and if I may, and this
Go
is
ahead.
just because ABCC is particular, so you would just also, we just need on record that the board is also approving the pledge of license.
Yeah.
Pledge of the license.
Yes.
As
What do we do?
You're
And the
accepting
pledge of license?
Approving the pledge of the license,
Yeah,
the transfer and the pledge.
Yep, transfer and pledge, exactly.
do I have to read it again, or?
No,
No, okay, all right, good. Do you have a second?
I'll second it, yeah,
Okay.
second it as amended. That's
Okay,
fine.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, moved unanimously, so now Oh, okay, adjourned, okay. I call the public, hearing to adjourn at 7:22 PM.
Second.
We need to have a motion for that? No, right? Yes?
I just did, he seconded, now just
Okay,
take a
all
vote.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Congratulations, Mr. Patel.
Okay, thanks so much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Welcome,
Have a
welcome
great
to the
evening.
town.
Yeah, welcome
All
to
right, bye now.
Foxborough.
Thank you.
So, public input, so 7:22, anybody in the public, in the audience, in Zoom, have anything to say?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll move to our new business, which is the Fire Station Building Committee, member selection and appointment. I know, Mike, you have
I do, I have a spreadsheet that I
spreadsheet
can
that,
share.
yeah.
Okay. Just, let me pull that up.
Did we have a vote from Kristen on that, or no?
No.
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
So I didn't I didn't ask to speak during the public section, because I wanted to speak at this section if I can.
Yes, Mike, did you want to go through that and then have him speak, or how, like,
I would think so. I put up your preliminary votes. You had decided at the last meeting to send me 2 names each. So that's what's on the screen now. I didn't know if you wanted to have any discussion on that.
first, okay, let him say what he
Well, I
wants.
just wanted to say, first of all, I wanted to thank you. I sent separate emails to each of you, and I've got your responses. I also sent one to Mary, and I got her response as well. I appreciate that. I just want you to know that I've been following this project since the SNAG committee, okay? That's over 10 years, okay? And I've been heavily involved in town in many activities, okay? 24 years on the planning board, getting Cisco built, getting Paddock Estates built, which then allowed us not to have additional 40Bs built in town, which was important. While I was on the select board, I read through the whole ARPA document and found a way for the town to get $1.7 million that we could spend appropriately without having to go back and forth to the federal government. And I'm up to speed on all of the studies that have been done for the fire station up until probably March of this year, okay? So I've done that work. And in addition, I know, Dave, you thought that I was against this fire station, which I have never been. I've always been a proponent of the fire station. And what I did when 5 years ago, I sent a document, a study that I had done with information to the building committee about fire stations that have been built locally and what we could do about it, okay? It wasn't focused on a safety building because I always thought our primary need was for a fire station, because I went into that building right after I got elected to the select board, and I was appalled at how we're having our fire personnel live. So I would appreciate your vote. I didn't realize you already took a vote. I'm kind of surprised.
So,
If I
Go
can
ahead.
respond, actually, I didn't say, John, in my response to you, that I thought you were against it. My reference was related to the amendment that was there, that we had worked together as the select board, the finance committee, and the administration. So that was my reference, not that you were against the fire station.
What you see up on the screen there is actually, my understanding is not a final vote. That was the input from each of the select board members to myself to compile. They had not seen this until I just put it up on the screen.
Okay.
This is what I compiled during the week, what they each individually sent me.
and,
So now it's up for their discussion.
yeah, and that's what we decided, John, last select board meeting, that we each will come up with the top 2 people that we think would be appropriate. I first want to thank you for everything that you've done, and I know you're still continuing to do. I think you're a big member of the Water Resources Committee as well. So I really want you to continue to participate in town activities, but we also want to invite other new folks into different committees and boards as well, because we need a broader section of the population to participate in all different committees and boards. So I just want to make sure that you understand that. It's not like there are so many people that put their name in the hat, and all of them are very well qualified. It's such a difficult job. I'm sure, like, you understand when you had to like select between different folks that had the expertise and the knowledge, and you had to only pick 1 or 2. It's very, very difficult. So knowing that, but also knowing that you do have other committees and boards that you're involved in, it kind of gives us the better way of looking at others that are that have put their name in the hat. Okay, so that was also part of the reason. Plus, we also have Mary Brolin's all like getting blocked, but we also are looking to have certain specific expertise to be part of this committee, because we have like different folks right now already in the committee, and one of the requests was to kind of replace Eric, who had certain expertise, and we wanted somebody with similar expertise that we needed to replace. So that's how we kind of went with.
Yeah, so Priya, I'm a registered professional engineer in Massachusetts.
You want to
which is
get on the
similar to what
mic,
Eric has.
John,
Okay.
John, you want to get to the mic?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Priya, I did mention is I am a registered professional engineer in Massachusetts, and I keep my license current.
Yeah.
So I do kind of fill the void that Eric left,
Yeah.
okay? So I don't know if this is going to be the final vote, or you're going to review the vote, but, I respect your decision. I think the people that you've selected so far are fantastic.
Yeah.
It's been a great job, and Mary's done a great job in leading the meetings that I've listened to so far. It's not easy. And you're right, it's very difficult to make a decision when you have to vote amongst the members of the select board. We went through this process when we selected Mike, and we did a great job.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes. Thanks for that. Mike has been wonderful. Yes. Totally agree. So, do you guys want to discuss about your
Well, okay,
choice?
so the elephant in the room is the abutter question, and I'm a little confused about that, so maybe you can help clarify.
Sure. So we've already had one kind of conflict of interest situation come up on the committee, and that conflict of interest has since passed. It was someone who works for an organization that is being acquired by another organization who was an applicant to be OPM. So Sarah, who's on the committee, she had to recuse herself during that portion of the decision-making for hiring an OPM. That conflict has since passed. One of the things that's going to be upcoming this fall is site selection. And one of the 4 sites that's under consideration has an awful lot of abutters. It's an 11-acre parcel, and I don't even know how many abutters there are, but I did pull the abutter list, and we do have one member who's on that committee who I've made aware she is an abutter, and she needs to possibly recuse herself from the site selection discussion and vote. And there's another applicant who's on your list here tonight who is also, I checked the abutter list tonight, and Mr. Marshall is also an abutter to the property. And when I say an abutter, I went through the process that any builder or developer would go to find out who they have to notify as abutters, and they went through and they did the 300-foot line all around the property, and every property that intersected within 300 feet, that's the list that I got from the assessor's office. So it doesn't mean you can't select somebody. I mean, we already have somebody serving on the committee, but they may have to recuse themselves during that portion.
So within 300 feet, is that the enclave, or is that Mr. Marshall's residence?
It's the his residence falls within it. Correct. And there are also people, not on this list, but there are also people on the other side of the street, or actually on the same side of the street as that one property, who are abutters as well, but none of them happen to be, coming onto this committee at this point. It doesn't mean you can't select them.
No,
but last
yeah,
week-
but really, I mean, one of the most important things that we have to do is to select the location, and along with that, everything else, the other dominoes sort of fall about, can we fit whatever size we need into whatever the location is. But okay, so what you're saying is if Mr. Marshall lived at the top of Enclave, he'd be okay.
That's my understanding, yes. His property, from what the list I got from the assessors, is within 300 feet of one of the both boundaries. That's my understanding.
Okay, well,
Again, I think there's a lot more to this project. I mean, clearly, the site selection is a very important part of this, especially at the beginning, but it's not, just like, one of the critical things was hiring an OPM, and Sarah had to recuse herself from two meetings, but she's not recused from the whole project. So I did speak with Joan, who's the committee member, who is also in a butter, and she is seeking out an opinion from the attorney of the day, and then I think has already reached out to Kristen, maybe reaching out to the select board to find out, is the select board going to require that she recuse herself? But she was going to reach out to the state, to the attorney of the day, and get an opinion from there. And so if Mr. Marshall is on there, he would want to do the same thing to protect himself, and then the town needs to protect itself. What you don't want to happen is you have somebody in there, and then a decision gets made, and then later there's an accusation, well, it was a conflicted decision. We want to make sure that we're doing everything above the board, from the outset. And that's why Sarah and I had spoken right from the outset, and I said, you may want to think about recusing yourself, and she did, and it worked out perfectly fine.
Mike, I know Joan is. I thought I saw Joan on the thing. I
saw
don't
her
know
name
if,
on there.
yeah, I don't know if she already
Yes,
reached
she is.
out, if we can,
Yes, she is.
if we can have her
Yes, she's
say
there.
something, yeah. You- Hang on a second, Joan, she's trying to unmute you.
Does,
okay, there we go.
All right.
Thank you, Priya. As Michael said, I did talk to the attorney of the day at the State Ethics Commission on Thursday morning, and he advised me to file a declaration, Section 19 declaration, with the town clerk requesting, stating what I thought was why I didn't think I had a conflict. And then the appointing, having filed that with the town clerk, the next step will be for the Board of Selectmen to make a decision about whether or not they feel there is a conflict and whether or not I would have to recuse myself. I don't know what the process in town is for checking with the town attorney. I never hid the fact that I was a resident on Stowe Road or in a butter. And I thought that I was appointed to the committee because that was felt to be important to have that representation in this site selection process. If indeed the select board decides that I do need to recuse myself, I will probably step down from the board, so the committee, because that would sort of negate the purpose of being on the committee.
I think I can, I'm not speaking for the select board, Joan, but I think it's important to hear your voice, and also for like the people that you represent. Whether you're going to be asked to recuse or not, it's not, we'll have to probably go through legal further, right, to figure that out. So I just wanted you to know that.
Kristen does have a copy of the declaration that I filed with the clerk.
Yeah.
So I put it in the hands of the select board for the next steps.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. So I guess that still leaves us without an answer, right? Like, we still have to go through our legal to figure out
Right.
from what Joan's saying. Did I understand that right?
Yeah. I think if there's a conflict, the person should recuse himself for that part of it for
Yeah.
which they are conflicted. But I haven't reached out to legal counsel. He's been on vacation, just returned today, and I didn't have a chance to talk to him today. But I think we're always best served if we can avoid, making any conflicted decisions.
Okay.
And it's one part of this, but I hope Joan's able to stay on the committee. I think she's a valuable member, especially given her 30-plus years of planning experience. But I understand exactly where she's coming from also.
I think if we have the town's legal counsel take a look at it, because I think when you delve into what is a conflict, what's a financial interest, how it relates to the 10% of town residents who might be presumed to have the financial interest, it is a specialty area of law and interpretation. So I think it would be a good move to consult town council.
Mike, Dave?
So, yeah, but if I understood what she's saying, I think, I mean, it's just this vote on the location that she would need to recuse herself for.
Yes.
Nothing else associated
Right?
with that.
Is that
Correct.
right?
It would be similar to Sarah, where she had to
Yeah.
recuse herself just from the decision-making and vote on hiring of the OPM. Now, if the firm that was acquiring Sarah's firm was selected, then she would have to recuse herself from any votes that involved that OPM. That turned out not to be the case, even though they were finalists. So she's able to participate in the whole rest of the process. But I'll get further clarification from council. But I think the best way to go is if it was me and it appeared that I had a conflict, I would recuse myself from that particular vote or that particular portion. But again, that's a decision that Joan has to make. But I will reach out to town council tomorrow and get an opinion.
Go ahead.
So Joan, are you still interested in staying on the committee if you can't vote and that you have to recuse yourself from that location vote?
Possibly have to.
I think that the site selection, so much follows from that, and it's so critical that if I had to recuse myself from site selection, then I would step off the committee.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Jim.
Priya, when I was on the planning board, we had to deal with this, and not so much about the abutters, but we had to deal with that. Abutters, when we were dealing with town center, okay, in the development of town center, one of the members of our board, her husband fixed the vehicles of the person that was coming to the board for approval, okay? So she recused herself just because she didn't want any thought that there was any financial impropriety. But not only did she recuse herself from the vote, she recused herself from the discussion, okay? And that's the other thing you have to be careful about here. Because if you're in a butter and it looks as if there's any financial interest of that abutter for that property, you not only can't vote, but you really can't participate in the group's discussion about that issue, because you'll be influencing the vote, and you have to be very careful, okay? So if you're gonna have people that are abutters, and they're well qualified, you have to be careful about what that could do to what this committee will be able to vote on. Just a caution. Thanks.
Thank you.
And that's the procedure we followed with Sarah.
Right.
She sat out while they had the discussion.
Discussion,
and the
yeah.
vote.
Right, and the
Yeah.
discussion that Sarah and I had was around the law, and she's well familiar with it. It's, if someone has a conflict of interest or a perceived conflict of interest, because also, what does the public perceive? Was that decision made in a conflicted way? Was somebody, going one way or another because of something else going on other than, what's at the table?
I think the worst thing that we can do is like have a decision made and then later on somebody raise a concern and the whole thing gets thrown out. I think we have to always err on the side of caution in that sense.
Yeah. No,
Right.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So, Wes, did you have anything to add to this?
I mean, personally, I think we have qualified people. My concern is having two abutters. And I'm even pretty close, but I'm not technically in a butter. And so that's why I would be leaning away from it. Like, nothing against Mike's qualifications
Yeah.
or anything like that. But I think we have a list of other people that are not abutters.
I tend to agree with this.
And then one other thing to consider is if in fact, Joan will have to recuse herself with what she's saying tonight, she may be stepping off the committee, so we may have to revisit this again at a future meeting.
Because to John's comments, I'm just concerned about any phase going forward. If they're talking about the height of the building, if they're talking about how close the building is to the road, I mean, are the butters, if the person is a butter, they would have a say in that as far as now the OPM is, as we've already said, is going to be the one deciding that, but the committee is also going to be part of that too, saying, okay, I agree with that and voting on that. So it's going to be difficult to have an abutter, in my opinion, my own opinion, my personal opinion, voting on anything regarding the future of this building. So
Except that there's 4 sites, and we don't know which site it's
that is
going
correct.
to.
That is correct.
So if it goes to one of the other 3 sites,
Then the butter's right.
yeah, then we have to look, is anybody else on the committee an abutter to those
The other
properties?
Okay.
And I don't think there are any abutters to 1 or 2 of the properties, but other ones there may be. So it's, it depends which site is selected.
Okay, you're right, and I apologize, you're right.
Mike, go ahead.
My name is Mike Marshall, and my house itself is over 300 feet from the boundaries of, the HOA. And I'm just surprised. I think of it as a football field. There's no way I could be within 300 feet my house. Now, if they're looking at the whole development and I own a portion of that, I don't know, So I'm really surprised if it is my house, somebody said that, because I can tell you, just down to the clubhouse or the front entrance, it's not even close to, it couldn't be, or it's got to be well over a football field. So I'm just surprised that I was tagged as an abutter.
Mike, is there an association there?
It's an HO, yes.
It's a
Homeowners Association.
So then you're a member of the association?
I am a member of the
So
association.
that must be, I'm guessing that's how they're following, because you're a member of the association, which is in the 300-foot boundary. I'm guessing, that's what I...
Well, yeah, I don't know where they start that. We have a road that connects, and it's an easement. And that road, it's not really technically our property, and that road's got to be over 300 feet to the front of the development. But, somebody calced this out or looked at it, so the only thing I can guess is that maybe our property line for the whole HOA, and me being part of the HOA, even though it's not my house,
Correct.
From the assessment.
I would be considered, I guess, an owner. I don't know.
Right, and that's what I'm guessing myself as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. John, do you want to go?
I can clarify part of that. I believe that's John Markowitz, 71 Patch Hill Road. That's exactly what it is, okay? Because he's part of the association, okay? And because the association is what's viewed as the where the limits of the abutters are. Because there's a financial benefit to the association of what happens, and that's what the concern is. It's not only for your individual home, okay, but because you're in that association, if something impacts the financial viability or improvement or degradation of the association, That's what they're looking at. That's how they're measuring it.
Okay.
So the other thing that you have to look at in this whole situation is when you look at the site on Mass Ave, the Fenton site, Lyons site, whatever name you have that, but the site on Mass Ave, that's also within, I don't know if that's within 300 feet of the enclave, okay? So that's the other thing to consider. You may have two sites involved here with those abutters, okay? I think you need clarification from legal counsel, but I believe that's the reason why they're saying Mike is an abutter and why Jane is an abutter. It's not where their specific house is, it's the association, where that association is.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, John.
So, okay, but that's different from when I asked Mike that question. I said, so if you were at the top of Enclave, would you be in a butter? And he said no. So there seems to be some legal aspect of that. You know, I mean, because we're dealing with two people, I'm inclined to try to get a better read on it, on the legalities of this. But did you learn something, Mike?
No, he thinks that his actual home is outside of this 300-foot, but it must be what John said. But I do know that this is the legal abutter list. You know, I've got this, you know, what any developer would get or any planner would have to get if they went in and they were gonna do something. So I went and went through the formal process of going to the chief assessor, saying, I need the abutter list for, you know, for this property. And so I have the whole, you know, like they sent out with the list, the mailing list, and it's signed and stamped with the date and everything. So I didn't want to guess it myself by just going on the GIS map.
Sure.
I said, I need the legal abutter list because I'm starting to get questions, which I was, not about Mr. Marshall, not about Joan, but in general, like, who's this affect? I said, well, let me get the abutter list. And it's extensive.
Okay, because it probably includes all 50 homes in the enclave, if it's...
It may be, I'm not sure of that. But this is...
Well, it would have to, because if they're going off of the association, if any member of the association, then it would be every home that's included in it, exactly.
I just can't answer that exactly because I don't know.
No.
I just asked for the legal abutter list.
Dave, do you know what,
So,
are we,
well, I guess I was just gonna say this conversation's kind of just going down like one hole, and
yeah,
to be honest, I think either John or Larry would probably be, not probably be, but they are really highly qualified and would be a valuable asset to this. And I know that Larry was also one of the three to four people that worked on the RFQ, and that went out, and that's why we got such quality candidate or contractors. And so I think that we have people, and while Mike is fairly qualified, by fairly I mean very qualified, I think we also have Larry, who's been on the past committee, and he would be the only one that has the longevity experience on it from the past committee, and I know that John is following it as well. But that's just my 10 cents, or 2.
Dave, I know you seem to have,
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of this is kind of hit at once, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not crazy about, you know, shooting from the hip, but I mean, do we need to? Well, if we didn't resolve it tonight, then we have to have another meeting, like soon, in order to pull this off. So Mary's got an additional person on the committee.
are we okay to do a vote, or do we want to?
My concern is, as Dave just suggested, if we postpone it, is that it's going to negatively affect Mary's ability to move forward as quickly as possible. My 2 cents is that we vote tonight.
Okay.
Dave, it's up to you.
Are you okay with that, Dave?
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's, you know, part of it, I mean, I didn't get a chance really to to interact with Larry during all this time because of the situation where his email never made it through to us, and so we saw, other emails with question marks next to his name. So it's kind of like, okay, so now vote for Larry. The guy I've been thinking is, okay, well, he's got a question mark next to his name. Is he the one to sort of pick out of
So
all of
he's
those
there, maybe
people?
you wanna
Can I
talk?
give you some background on that? Just, the board knows because I emailed you today.
Yeah.
But just so back in the spring, when the board was getting ready to form this committee in June, I was tasked with reaching out to anyone who might be interested, and of course the board members and members of the fire department who were at Pfeiffer's Day talking to people. At that time, I sent out, we put stuff on the website, we sent something out to Boxborough News, we had stuff on the poster at Pfeiffer's Day, and I sent out emails and solicited anyone interested to apply to select board at Boxborough, et cetera. And anyone who reached out to myself or to the board and myself, I compiled that list, put it all together. I didn't find out until today, and this is what Dave is referring to, that Larry had indicated back on June 18th that he was very interested in continuing on this new committee. And what I reported to you was, the names that were interested, and I think Larry had spoken to Kristen and someone else maybe at Pfeiffer's Day, but I said I didn't receive like a resume or a paragraph or anything. So I said, I think he's interested, but I haven't confirmed anything. Well, it was this morning when Larry, and of course I'll let him speak for himself, but it was this morning when Larry reached out to me and indicated that he didn't think he had the support to get on this. And I said, well, I wouldn't just assume that, because I don't think you've provided the board the information and the level of interest. And that's when he let me know that, well, he did send an email. And it was after that I went through the town spam folder. So it came from his private email, which is perfectly fine. But for whatever reason, it went to spam. And I checked it, and it was there on June 18th that he did have a high level of interest. And he had also talked about his qualifications and work that he had done as an architect and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to, give a little bit of that background that you're referring to, so that people in the public know what we're talking about.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, that's good.
Do you want to, Larry's on. Larry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Priya. It now all makes sense to me.
Can you get closer, Larry? We can't hear you that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. Yeah, now we can.
Yeah, no, this now all makes sense to me because one of the comments that Dave made was he didn't think I was interested, and it seemed that I was not involved, and I had responded and wrote my interest and my qualifications, and it didn't seem to register, and I didn't know why, and now I do. So today, and so I didn't think that there was support, and I sort of figured that other people would step in, but I remain very interested. I've been in town for 35 years, and in fact, I got on the building committee through the sustainability committee. I was on the sustainability committee for, 7 or 8 years, and as the building committee was forming, the town felt that there should be a representative from the sustainability committee, so I took the role to represent the sustainability committee on the building committee, and so I have a genuine interest, and I think that as an architect for 40 years, I've been through the permitting and design and construction of hundreds of projects, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of construction. And I love seeing things built. And this will be, as we've seen, a difficult project for many reasons. There's, as I noted, there's no perfect sites. We don't have an unlimited budget. And so dozens, if not hundreds, of decisions are going to need to be made. And although we hired a very good OPM And in fact, when we started talking on the committee, when I was on the previous committee about OPMs, no one on the committee even knew what an OPM was. I spent 30 years working with OPMs, dozens of them, and the one that was selected is quite good. But ultimately, the hard decisions come back to ownership, and the ownership is the town. And because the OPM is not tasked to make the decision, the OPM is tasked to organize, facilitate, and coordinate, but they really don't make the final decision. So I think my role on the committee is going to be providing the background expertise, because I've had to, as part of my career, that's what I did. And the slew of consultants that we're going to work with. I mean, there's going to be a dozen consultants on this project. I have experience with working with all of these types of engineers. I also am very sensitized to budgets, because that was ultimately my responsibility as the architect, is bringing projects in on budget and obviously schedule. So I remain interested. I think I have very appropriate, almost ideal qualifications to round out the committee, and my interest never wavered. It just seems like there was a glitch in the email, and so I thought that, well, I actually was perplexed, honestly, and I in fact had sent a message to Michael saying, when the selection was made, I said, I'm really surprised how this process went, and now I understand that you never got my letter of interest. So I think that's the background. I can provide any other, questions. I can answer any other questions in terms of background qualifications or interests that you might have.
No, Larry, I don't have any questions about your experiences or your competencies, because I think they're my understanding is they're top notch. I don't know about you personally, or what how you work within the team. So I guess that's in part my hesitation, or was my hesitation, and so I was thinking, I was actually having a conversation with Michael Marshall about, okay, we need an architect. I think I like the idea of an architect being on the committee, because I think there's a lot of talent that comes along with that, and it's a lot of help to kind of review the stuff that these vendors are going to be putting forward. So that's just it. I guess there's
Dave,
the hard skills and the soft skills, and I don't know your soft skills, but
yeah. Well, I think there are actually a couple participants tonight that I've worked with on previous town committees that might be able to give some background if you're interested in that.
Yeah, Larry, let me jump in. I worked with Larry when I was a liaison with the Sustainability Committee, and I always found Larry a very team player. I always found Larry very knowledgeable, always very prepared as far as the sustainability and what we were asking him to do. And I was the liaison for, I think, 3 years when I was on the prior select board. And Larry, in my opinion, was always the team player. He was always knowledgeable, and he always gave options. I think one of the things I liked about Larry with the sustainability was that he gave options. It was never black and white with Larry. It was that he gave options, and he came prepared with the background and the information for the sustainability. So as a committee member, I think Larry is top notch, and that's my opinion.
okay, thanks.
Hugh is on the line. I will come to you, John, after. Hugh had his hand up first.
Yes, thank you. I want to simply say that I agree with Bob, who had a considerable experience with Larry's work on the Sustainability Committee, and I worked with him for a number of years on the Building Committee. And in response to Dave's concerns, I can tell you that my observation about his work, and I know there are other members of the committee who can also speak, Larry always asked the good questions He always was ready to do the research, to come back with options. I never felt that he was entrenched in a particular position. He was a terrific listener. I found his contributions to the work of the committee always to be positive, optimistic, and never opinionated. I respect him greatly for that, and I think he would be a fine member, Dave, in response to your concerns. Thank you.
John.
Yeah, I also worked with Larry when I was on the planning board and he was on sustainability. We were going through trying to figure out what kind of zoning do we need to put in place to support sustainability. And Larry was always very helpful. One of the things he does his homework, as everyone said. He listens to what everyone has to say. He's respectful of people, okay? And he'll take the time to explain things to people if they don't understand it. He has a tremendous amount of patience. He's a true professional. He cares about this town, and he cares about the taxpayers. He's fantastic. If I could have moved one of my numbers over someplace, I would have given him my vote right now. Thanks.
Oh, okay. We have less. Les, you can speak.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Les Fox here. I've known Larry a long time. I spent a long time as chair of the building committee. Larry was a member for a long time. I've also know some of the other folks, Joan in particular. She's a competent planning person, came out of MAPC, has worked with the town, people know her. We always thought it would be beneficial to have somebody involved in the project who was on the road or on a butter, which now seems to be a blemish, because they could help present developments ongoing to the folks who might be affected by it. But that aside, let me speak to Larry and his qualifications as I see them. The thing I really always appreciated about Larry is that this is a very complex project, multi-dimensional, multi-variables, needing a lot of trade-offs. A lot of things are going to be in opposition. He's very good at grasping that high-level issue and articulating it. And he's done that a number of times throughout the project, and understands what's been done and probably what needs to be done. So he does bring a tremendous strength in that dimension, understanding the complexity as a professional. And he said it, I think he said it, that, you know, we can't kick back and say, oh, the OPM is going to take care of everything. We're on autopilot. No. OPM is going to help us make a good decision. The decision will come down to the town and you folks. So in that regard, Larry, I think, will be very helpful in trying to bring us to that point.
Thank you, Les. Barbara? Hold on a second, Barbara. She's trying to unmute you.
Oh, I see Francie there too.
Oh, you should be good now. Hi.
I worked with Larry for a number of years.
Barbara, could you lean in closer?
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. I've worked with Larry a number of years on the Sustainability Committee. I think it's a no-brainer to have architect Larry on this committee, because he is so skilled and we need those skills. And to have an architect like Larry volunteering is just incredible. So I think there's no question here. But Larry's got all the soft skills in spades, and I believe that's what Larry did in his position, his professional position. He's a total team player, very respectful, a great teacher, a great communicator, made wonderful presentations and explained things very clearly, very patient. You know, I really respected Larry's judgment. I learned a lot from Larry. So I think that the committee, it would be crazy not to grab Larry to be on this committee. And just one other thing, it's, it sounds like you may have another opening on this committee, possibly. And even if you don't, I'd just like to put in a word also for John Markowitz. And you may want to just appoint 2 people now and give yourself a little bit of a cushion in case you have any more resignations. I think John's got the skills as both hard and soft, the expertise. Both John and Larry bring such experience and institutional knowledge that I think is really important. So just want to say that. Thank you for all that you're doing.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
There is only one opening on the committee because the
Yeah.
charter only allows for 7.
7, yes, yeah.
There's one more. Yeah.
Who's?
No, it's Francie.
Francis,
Yeah,
oh, okay, I couldn't tell because of the yellow background. Sorry, Francie, go
Francie, you
ahead.
should be all set, Francie.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Larry's head must be swimming by now. And it's also worthy. When he was with us those many years on the Sustainability Committee, he had a way of respectfully asking questions and going deep and into the subject at hand. When we needed someone to give a presentation to town meeting on the stretch code, Larry's hand went up and he did that, and the motion passed for the town. He moved the sustainability work forward in a positive way without asking for any recognition for that, but clearly he was responsible for a great deal of what we accomplished during those years. And he has an even temperament and can be a visionary when it's needed. He can look up close when that's needed. And I'd say go for Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francie.
Thank you.
Cindy? Go ahead, Cindy.
Hi, yes, thanks. Appreciate the opportunity. I too want to acknowledge that Larry Grossman is a true professional. I've known him professionally as well as personally. And I think he'd be a great asset, as would John Markowitz. Those are 2 folks that I know best on this list. I am very much in support of either of them. I also just would like to say that given this concern about not knowing somebody's soft skills, I think you folks have done yourselves a disservice by not having interviews with all the candidates in a public setting. I think what's happened as I've watched your meetings is that a couple of candidates who happened to be at your meetings and stayed for the duration were able to interact with you sort of informally at your meetings. And so they were able to get a little bit of a personality time with you and FaceTime with you, whereas not all candidates were allowed to do that. So I would suggest in the future, as you go through these other selection processes, that you do include an interview, no matter how short, to assess somebody's interpersonal skills along with some of the technical skills. And again, the public was not able to see the applications and the qualifications of these folks, which I think was also a disadvantage. But I hope you can improve the process in the future. But certainly, I'm supportive of both Larry and John Markowitz for this position. Thanks.
Thank you, Cindy. Point noted. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate those comments, but I would respond to Cindy by saying that was the meetings here are public meetings, so anybody is allowed to come. So it's not, nobody was excluded. It's if somebody put in the extra time to be here, that was their option to do so. Okay, so I have one last question for Larry about the one, and this is one of the issues that I had in my discussions with communications with John. Larry, how did you vote on the Article 42 amendment?
Larry?
Yeah. Are you talking about when we voted about which site to proceed with?
No, I think he's
Article
referring to town
42
meeting.
amendment was to change it was
He's
to
talking
change
town
down
meeting.
to 150,000.
Okay, yeah, to reduce the amount that we were putting forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time, I was sensitive to the costs being spent to the town. And as I talked also with Kristen, I thought that at that point in time, because we hadn't really done significant public engagement, meaning presentations to the town to explain our process, I thought we should go slower. So I strongly encouraged hiring the OPM, but I felt that we could get a lot of work done, have some public engagement, get some support, and then come back and get more money. But in terms of initiating the OPM, I was very much on board. I was actually pushing for that. But I thought that we could get things moving without the 500,000.
Okay. So you voted in favor of the amendment.
Larry, that's the final one in the town hall.
Oh, yeah, I voted, in favor of the final one, of course, yeah.
He
Yeah.
voted in favor of the 500.
Of the
Yeah.
500,
Yeah.
right, yeah. So,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. Hugh, did you have?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Larry said about that amendment. It was to reduce the cost not to 150, but to 250. And the other issue was not just money. We were concerned that the 500 might lead to town voting it down, but we were also very concerned about the complicated 28 bullet point presentation of Article 42. And it was Larry who helped us reduce that, make it much more clear, concise, precise. And from my point of view, that was as significant a presentation from the building committee as was the reduction of money. And I want to make sure that people understand that the rewriting in the amendment that we made was very significant, and it clarified a great deal, and to Larry's credit. Thank you.
Thanks you. In fact, I felt that there was a lack of clarity, and I took it upon my own initiative to do that clarification and submit it to the committee at the time.
So I agree with that. I guess I'll move to appoint Larry Grossman to the Fire Station Building Committee with the term ending June 30th, 2027.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So maybe we should take
Can
a
you say
roll call vote.
opposed?
It's Wes,
Folks, aye.
Sample aye.
McKiernan, abstain.
Sundaram, aye.
Okay, welcome to the committee.
Welcome, Larry.
Thank you.
The next meeting is in 2 nights, 7 o'clock here.
Mary, is that right? It's 2 nights.
Hold your nose and jump in.
Okay.
All right, moving on to presentation is that Lee who's going to be doing the presentation, Lee? Employer of Choice Personnel Board?
Yes.
I'll be seated if that's all right.
That's perfectly.
I wish we could get some of this energy and talent to get excited about the Personnel Board.
We're working on it.
Thank you, members of the Select Board, for entertaining me tonight. I'm Lee Slade, 380 Burroughs Road. I'm here as the chairman of the Personnel Board. I have about a 10-minute prepared comments, and I'm going to ask you to take some action either. Yes, Mike?
Is this going out live or is it just on the screen? Can we check with technology to make sure that actually, because we want the public to see this as well.
Yes, thank you.
They're not saying-
I
Adam,
can
you
hear
got
you
it?
all out there. Sounds good.
You're not live? Hold on.
Now it is.
Okay,
Okay, all right.
thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Mike. So I have about 10 minutes of prepared presentation that go with an abbreviated version of the deck that I had posted with the meeting, just in the interest of time. I don't think we need to go through all that, but there is quite a bit of background information should you be interested in that. I'm going to ask the Select Board to take action tonight or at some point in the near future that I think is much less complex and challenging than what you just dealt with, but it is no less important. Next slide, please, Kelly. Thank you. The town has about 125 employees, composed of about 50 full-time employees, 77 part-time or per diem employees, and another 70 or so temporary and seasonal employees. So about 200 employees altogether. Having a stable workforce is obviously very important for a lot of reasons. The Personnel Board worked with Assistant Town Administrator Rajan Hudson recently to evaluate turnover among town employees over the last few years. We focused on turnover for regular employees, meaning full-time employees, part-time employees, and per diems, as opposed to seasonal, just because seasonal come and go in a much different way than regular employees do. We found that turnover is variable, as you can see in the red charts, on a year-on-year basis, but next slide, please, Kelly. Once you look at it on a 2-year rolling, you see it's really pretty steady at about 12% a year of voluntary. It's not voluntary, we just could only look at total turnover, but most of that is voluntary turnover, people deciding to leave of their own rather than being terminated for cause or other reasons. And that's maybe not that bad of a number. Just a second, please. But we did see that the annual turnover for managers, which is among the top 14 positions working for the town, has been significantly higher at about 25% per annum since 2017, about 31%.
Is there a different slide?
Yes, that's the right slide.
There's no slide just for managers, there's no slide just for managers.
Yes. On the right-hand side, it just points out that the managers are actually drawing that up, and you say non-managers are actually much less maybe than 12% turnover. And then you might say, well, so what, Lee? What does that matter? Kelly? Studies show that voluntary turnover, when people decide to leave your organization, costs your organization somewhere between 50 and 200% of the turned over salaries. I've seen a lot of different numbers for that, as low as 16. Most of them are in the 50 to 200% range. And the variation is what kind of employees are you talking about? Are they managers or are they line employees or whatever? And this comes in a lot of different costs, most of them hidden costs to advertise new positions, to do the interviewing and hiring process, to retrain, the operational inefficiencies you have as people a position is not filled and other people are having to fill it. You have all sorts of secondary issues. You might think about the efficiency. We have about $5.6 million of salary in our employees for town administration, fire, police, and public works. And think about the efficiency you're getting from the $5.6 million of investment in salaries. As you have more turnover, that efficiency drops. That's the hidden cost. So we could argue about exactly what those dollars are, but it's certainly not zero. Turnover among managers, for a lot of reasons, is the highest cost because it's disruptive to your organizational continuity. Employees are not getting managed properly, and it's bad for morale. So when managers leave, sometimes really important things get delayed or not done at all. I think we've seen that in Boxborough. So let's roughly consider for a second the possible cost that Boxborough has incurred, hidden, due to the turnover we've experienced. Round numbers. Let's go to the next slide. The next slide. Thank you. As I just said, our salaries are about $5.6 million, round numbers. That's about 46% of our non-school budget, which is around $11.8 million, which is about what you'd expect for a service organization, which is what the town is a service organization. Our turnover is about 12% annually, so if you take that and apply either the 50% or the 200% factors, you can see that the town's hidden cost might be in the $300 thousand to 1.3 million. Pretty big numbers. Now, you're never going to have zero turnover. That's really not realistic. But you could, let's just think if we could reduce the 12% to 11%. You might save 30 to, if I could see, $130,000 a year of hidden costs. If it's 2%, it could double that easily. So it seems to me that we ought to be doing everything we can within reason to reduce the turnover of our staff. And especially make sure that our supervisors stay with the town once we attract them here. So how do we do that? First, we hire a town administrator who knows about people and cares about people, and you've already taken care of that by hiring Mike Johns. Well done there, because one of the big criteria for him was, does he know about HR and does he know about people, and he certainly does. Then the second, we got to attack the root cause of turnover. McKinsey and others, many others, have studied the effects of the factors that affect turnover among public sector employees. Lots of private sector studies also, but we're focusing on public sector. They have found that although compensation and benefits are a consideration, they are not near the top factors that you would think. There are much more important factors. One study that I really liked identified factors at 3 levels of correlation with retention, which is the flip side of turnover. A large correlation is exhaustion. When you're asking people to do more than they can or should be, or they're doing half of somebody else's job because that person is gone and not replaced, or for whatever reasons, or there's a lack of clarity between supervisor and employer about what they're supposed to be doing, those people are most likely to quit. We all know about the importance of work-life balance. That's what we're talking about. So employees need a really clear and reasonable set of expectations about what their job entails. There's a medium correlation about the factors that employees want to say in things. You want to feel like you have some say in what happens in your work group. They want things to be fair. Employees always want fairness, and they also want their supervisor to help them and support them. We've all heard the axiom that employees don't quit organizations, they quit supervisors, and that's what this is about, and this is what it's saying, is that's exactly what's happening. Now, interestingly, and perhaps a bit surprisingly, compensation and upward career mobility are the small correlated items with retention. In other words, it's not that you can underpay people and put them in a pigeonhole, but giving them a raise and giving them more responsibility is not necessarily the path to higher retention, is what that's saying. And all this is encouraging to me and should be to you for Boxboard, because the things that we can do something about, that we don't have to throw money at, are the things that are strongly correlated with retention. Kelly, organizations who have successfully addressed the key factors that create a happy and loyal workforce are called employers of choice. Sorry that that's covered up by the Zoom, but that says employer of choice. These are the organizations that people really want to work for. My purpose today is to ask the Select Board to adopt a resolution that formally commits the town to becoming an employer of choice. This is neither trivial nor is easy. If you just think about it, it could sound trivial, but it is not trivial. And it's not a term to claim lightly either. Because if we just say we're an employer of choice when we're not an employer of choice, we're not committed to being an employer of choice, that inauthenticity is going to drive people away eventually when they figure out that we're not serious about it. So what it's going to take to become an employer of choice? The Personnel Board has been asking that question. We've been examining the town's fundamental employee life cycle systems. Let's go to the next slide here. Across the full life cycle of employee interface with the town. We've been working with Mike and with Rajan to systematically understand how we deal with each of these things and what we need to do to improve them, to make them not necessarily best of class, but at a level that we believe is appropriate for our town. And if sustained, this effort that the Personnel Board has been working with the TA and the ATA on will check a lot of the boxes towards becoming an employer of choice. It has to be sustained. But it will make a big difference. And I think combined with a strong vision of mission, what are our employees here for, and the development of a great culture, how are we going to behave with each other and treat each other, these systems will underpin our commitment to be an employer of choice. Why now? What's the urgency? First of all, hidden costs happen every year. As soon as we can drive down turnover, we start recovering some of these costs. And I think that's important, not to linger if we don't need to. Second, turnover risk has never been higher. People have more choices than they've ever had before, particularly in a new hybrid workplace environment. People can get another job, and more people are either open to the idea of getting a new job or actively looking for a new job. Almost, I think, over 50% by most studies. It's amazing how many people are open to turnover. We used to think in our company 6% turnover is bad turnover. That's crept up even in a company that is a very good employer to 8% now, and we try to budget for not more than that. But it is tough to keep your employees, and you're also getting recruited against all the time, particularly your best employees. The third reason is that the leadership is in place to make it happen, not just with Mike and Rajan, but with the select board. And leadership matters. Next slide, please. As the select board, your leadership in this issue will be noted by employees and their supervisors. If you make it a priority, it'll become a priority for town administration, starting from Mike and all the way down. It needs to start with the select board, which is why I'm here today to ask you to make this resolution. The personnel board can do their thing, Mike can do their thing, but we really need to do it all together as a town. So we are asking the select board to pass a resolution with language identical or similar to this one. You've seen this language, and I'll just read it if you'll indulge me. The town of Boxborough aspires to be and will take needed steps to become and maintain status as an employer of choice as defined and described herein. An employer of choice is an organization, in this case town, that overtly values its employees, making it easier to recruit and retain engaged and productive employees. And this resolution is documented in a 4-page document or 3.5-page document, memorandum that includes the definition of employer choice in terms of the following characteristics, Kelly. You've seen this. I've reviewed this document with each of you. Some of you have provided some very helpful feedback to it, and I appreciate that. Characteristics of an employer of choice. Beyond just fair pay and benefits include employment culture, working facilities and resources, employee career development, recognition and celebration, employee processes and policies. Let me just put a little bit more color on each one of those for this, and then I'll shut up and let you guys ask questions, talk, or do what you want to do. Kelly? With respect to employee culture, culture is about behaviors. It's how we deal with each other as employees, and culture doesn't happen accidentally. It doesn't happen automatically. It needs to be modeled. It needs to be held accountable. So with the select board's support and example, administration at Boxborough will model and insist on behaviors from both supervisors and employees that support this culture. That's the way you get the culture you want, is you don't tolerate culture that you don't want. You model it, you encourage it, and you hold people accountable to it, including mutual respect, helpfulness, and accountability, and maybe other cultural attributes that want to be part of our culture. We're not trying to define what the culture should be in the personnel board. I think that is the town administrator's job, but we certainly have some ideas about what a good culture would look like. The second thing is working facilities and resources. Working facilities need to be safe, comfortable, and productive, all within our ability to pay for them, and priorities. It's about managing priorities. The third thing is employee career development, which is crucial, and it really needs to be upgraded at the town. Every employee needs, first of all, to be trained to do their job well and given opportunities to grow to their potential within their job. I think this is really particularly important for supervisors, most of whom are subject matter experts but don't necessarily get trained in the kind of supervisor and communication skills that make them good managers of people. This is not a Boxborough problem. This is just an organizational problem. And we need to support our supervisors with the kind of training that they need. The fourth item is recognition and celebration. And I think we are starting to build a culture or ecosystem of celebration. Mike's done a great job of starting to do that since he's been here, and I think that needs to spread, and supervisors need to be trained how to catch their people doing the right things and give them a pat on the back. That's the cheapest thing you can do to get people happy and make them feel appreciated, which is one of the things that make people be loyal to an organization. And finally, employee processes and policies. The Personnel Board has done a lot of work in looking at the policies and the procedures that we have, the fundamentals of our employee life cycle. They have to be clear, they have to be reasonable, they have to be efficient, they have to be consistent, and they have to be fair. And employees have to, the clarity is important. The employees have to understand what the rules are. What's the expectation? What's the opportunity? The employee handbook must be up to date and a useful resource. It is not today a very useful resource. It needs to be updated. Supervisors in an employer of choice resolve conflict at the point. Things don't get escalated to the select board or above their head until they've had the chance to solve the problems with their team. But if they don't solve the problem, there is a point of appeal for employees to not have to just put up with a supervisor who is blocking a problem solving. We're going to continue to work with Rajan and others to tackle that particular issue. So what does the town get out of this? Priya, this is a question you ask, and it's a good question. I could envision the town lowering our turnover from 12% to 8%, maybe 6% if we really got after it. We're already seeing it heading in the right direction. I don't know if you saw the last bar on the first chart I showed you. That's very encouraging, but it's halfway through the year. That's a doubling of half the year, so we'll see where that goes. That would save the town, if we got to 6 to 8%, $120,000 to $500,000 in hidden costs a year. That's not chump change. Becoming an employer of choice will strengthen our competitiveness and eventually build a reputation that people will want to come to Boxborough to work and stay here. Wouldn't it be great if we got 10 applications for every job that we need to fill rather than a handful or 3 or 2 or 1? Happier and more productive employees are more excited about their jobs and the mission of town government, which leads to the bottom line, which is even better service to our residents, which is what town government is all about, right? So what's it going to cost us? Not that much. It will require some investment. The select board a few years ago did something really wise, is they committed to pay our employees at the 75th percentile of competing towns. That's the way our compensation program is built. So that's a great place to be. All we have to do is keep the course and continue to monitor annually other towns and how they're paying and where the adjustments are going, as well as every now and then look at the overall compensation system that we have, and I think we're committed to do that. I don't think there's any on paper extra dollars required with respect to compensation. We may want to adjust some benefits just to keep up with where the marketplace is on occasion, but we haven't seen that as the problem. It is also the low correlated factor. Employee recognition and celebration is a high value, low cost activity. Buying people a lunch, patting them on the back costs almost nothing. Employees and supervisors just need to be trained to do it. Employee development is an area where we need to invest more. Most departments have some training costs in their annual budget. How it's spent, whether we're getting return on the investment, is not very clear. Frankly, we haven't looked into that very clearly. We did get $12,000 in the budget this year for town training, and Rajan is working with the personnel board to make that the first sort of investment tranche for a more robust staff development program, leaning into supervisor training but not limiting it to that. But frankly, $12,000 does not go very far in training. There are a lot of resources out there, and we will try to tap those, and particularly those that are available to us as a town that are free or almost free. So we need to put together a programmatic approach to this that builds from small to more significant over time. You can count on the personnel board or the TA to be back asking for money to put in the budget to get town approval for more training in the future. I can almost promise that, but we're not asking for that today. And obviously, every dollar has to get, justified on its merits on what we're going to get out of it, and it has to be approved by both the select board, FinCom, and eventually town. Finally, with respect to facilities, I think the town has a pretty good process in place to evaluate their facilities on a regular basis. They got a lot of people talented enough to do it, and they look at through a number of lenses. We just have to remember to look through it through our employees' lenses. I think the work we're doing on the fire station is fantastic. It's looking, through the lens of our firefighters at the quality of their facilities, and it's pretty easy to make some conclusions that we need to take some action. As painful or hard or expensive as that may be, we have to do something. And I think that's what an employer of choice does. They don't tolerate inadequate facilities any longer than they have to. So the Personnel Board believes the town should commit to an employer of choice, and we believe we can get there if we choose to. So a resolution, when you are ready to make it, would be what we would hope that would happen as an outcome of this. I thank you for your time, and I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Lee. I think the second last slide kind of summarized everything that I was going to ask. Like, where is our first opportunity? I think it clearly looks like employee development, right?
Yes.
That's where we need to start with.
And this is not a blank check. We're not asking for a blank check. That's not the way it would work. But I think it is a commitment. And at some point, you have to, set your priorities. And sometimes you say, remember, we said we're going to be an employer of choice. So let's not forget the employee consideration in making that decision.
The recognition, I thought we have already started. Is that?
I think we're doing a fantastic job there.
With that. Okay. Go ahead.
Lee, a couple things. When I saw this for the first time, it was literally new words to me, and I've heard about a buzz, but you've actually put pen to paper, as they're saying on this, for the employer of choice. Are employees looking for that word in your opinion or in your research? Are they looking for a town or a business that says that they are an employer of choice, or is this so new that it really hasn't got out to the general public yet?
I don't think it's particularly new as a concept. It's been active in corporate America for quite a while. We've been, in my company, we committed to it some years ago, but it's not a flag that we're trying to fly to attract employees with. No, yeah. But it's a commitment that we as a leadership team want to make, so it influences our decision making and our behaviors. Eventually, employees will figure it out. I would hope that Mike, if we choose to go in this direction, would sit down with the supervisors and say, this is the kind of organization we want to have, and this is what it means to you as supervisors and how you interface. And this sets it doesn't really change much of anything you're going to do, other than just maybe creates a framework within which we can evaluate the decisions we're making. So the employer choice is not a new vocabulary per se, if that's your question.
It is, and that really was. And along that same line, thank you for answering that question. My second question is, have you been able to do any kind of research as far as other towns in the area? Are other towns employers of choice, or are we getting on the same bus, or are we creating a new bus so all the towns can get on?
I don't know if we're creating a new bus. I'd be surprised. We haven't done that research of checking all the other websites out. We have looked at some other websites and noted that a number of other towns have a much better organization of their policies, and I think they are acting like better employers than we are, very frankly. Okay. So I think we have some catching up to do, and I think some of that is the discontinuities we've had in the leadership of the TA position, and it takes some momentum building, right. And it takes a number of. This is not a one and done kind of thing. This is a series of decisions that will be made, and it's not a personality driven thing. This isn't about me. This isn't about Mike. This is about the town saying we want to do this as a town, and then whoever is in whatever position picks it up and carries it forward as a commitment that's already been made. Okay. I hope that helps.
Could I add to that?
Sure, Mike.
So for people looking for places to go work, there are reputations, and that applies whether it's corporate or government. In municipal work, people know where to go and where to avoid. And there are those towns that people really want to go to, and there are ones that people stay clear of, and those are the ones that don't get many applications. And the ones that are attracting lots of employees from other places, those are those employers of choice. And I agree, it's not a flag that you wave, but you know where to go. I would say when you talk about 75th percentile was something that Lee mentioned, and that was in regards to a compensation study that was done a number of years ago. But I would say if you applied that 75th percentile to Boxborough, I would say we're not quite there as an employer of choice. We're not those towns that you avoid, but I don't think we're the stellar, the cream of the crop either. Mm-hmm. I would say we're somewhere in the middle, and we want to get to that maybe 3/4 point if I can borrow the 75th percentile from another.
For other metrics, and that's good. I didn't talk about metrics, although in the memorandum we wrote, we did talk about how do we know that we're getting there, right? Well, your turnover is one thing you look at. Your employee engagement is another thing we look at. We just did the first employment engagement survey, so we have a baseline there. And you know, the trend you want is upward. You want more engagement. You want the quality of that from, you know, the halfway engaged to the fully engaged to increase. And you have to track that and make the little steps along the way to make it happen. I think we have a long way to go. One of the first things Mike and I talked about was this idea of how do we build the kind of employer culture that we want here at this town that will be so productive. And we started talking about employer of choice, and it occurred to both of us, I think, at the same time, was we really need to take this to the select board and not just claim it, because it will be empty without the select board saying, we're on board here also. And the last thing I want is the select board to say, yeah, check the box and move on, because I think it is a real commitment. And I think I wanted you to know what you're getting into when you say we want to be an employer of choice.
So who's the driver of this? Is it Mike? Is it the personnel board? Is it you guys together? Because as select board, we're not going to be talking about.
Thank you for answering the question.
Try to answer that and then hand it
Well,
over
I have a whole page on that one, but you take a crack at it and then I'll clean it up.
Because I don't want to take credit for something that I didn't create here. The driver on this has been Lee, and he's worked with the personnel board and he's worked with Rajan on this. But he's been the driver on this because he has worked for the last 48 years for an employer of choice. So he's brought a lot of the concepts that he has seen be successful in his corporation, and he's bringing them to us. So I'm jumping on that bus, but I think what Lee is asking is for the select board to drive this bus. I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, let me cast it a little bit differently. Thank you, Mike, for saying that. But I think it's going to take, each of us is going to have a responsibility. Personnel board, select board, FinCom, the TA and the ATO. Those are the major players in making this thing happen. This is going to be Mike's deal to drive. He's going to set the culture at town hall. He's going to set the culture of the employees. He's going to hold his supervisors accountable to behave and manage in ways. He's going to help train them. If I was a select board and you've done a great job of hiring a great TA, I'd hold him accountable to demonstrate that he's doing what it takes to move in that direction. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't think it's the select board making personnel decisions, and it's not the personnel board actually making personnel decisions. We're a board, and we should be asking good questions. And I think we have been asking good questions, and we've had Rajan come in and present on the recruiting and the hiring processes and the training processes, and when we don't get the answers that we think might be better answers, we ask questions, and we're trying to help Rajan build some stuff. Mike said, very famously, I guess, when we first I asked him, how far along are we with these systems? He said, well, some of them, or many of them, are in their infancy. And that means we're just getting going with them. Okay, you got to start someplace. But I think it's up to Mike to drive this forward. Rajan will be the boots on the ground, if you will, making this thing happen. He's got a lot of things going. One of the things that came out of the engagement survey was we need somebody in charge of HR at the town. I don't know if the town is there yet. I don't think we are. But Rajan is stretched quite a bit. But a lot of it, if you lower your turnover, he spends a lot less of his time in interviews and solving problems and retraining people and doing all that. That's a very positive reinforcing cycle. So I think the personnel board has a very important role here. I think the select board has the ultimate decision-making role when the time comes to make decisions about expenditures and priorities. That's your job, I think, on recommendation probably from Mike. And I think the personnel board will be in there supporting every way we can. Right now, what we're working on is trying to make sure the job descriptions that Rajan has developed for all the employees are clear, consistent, properly graded, and you know that system is in good shape. We're also working on the policies to make sure that the policies are right. Rajan asked us if we would update the plan, which needs to be, personnel plan needs to be updated. It's been, continue to patch on it for years and years, but we said we can't take that on right now. I hope that the personnel board will be able to take it on at some point in the next couple of 3 years. I don't think that's the biggest thing. I think the employee manual is higher priority, and that's what Alan McLean is working on right now. I know long answer to a short
Yeah,
question.
no,
but-
no, I get it. And Mike is really, because, you know, there's always, there's always turnover and personnel board and
Well, you asked
with
for
us too, but we've saying, this is what we want to do.
You asked for a strong TA, meaning the department heads report to this man. So he's the guy who's in a position to do something about it. And I think he's the, if I was in your shoes, that's what I would be doing, is I would be having that dialogue with him. When he comes to ask for support to do it, I would say, that's your job, is to help support him to make it happen.
So,
did I misspeak, Mike?
No, I think you were perfectly clear on that. And I think that back in March, we set the goals, the strategic goals for the town, for the board and for the TA. And when we revisit that next, if this is something that you think is appealing and that would be good for the town, this is probably one of those main, 8 or 10 goals that we want to put up there. This is what we want to do this year and for the next 10 years or whatever. I think that gets up into the strategic goal level.
Yep, I'm not good with that. So if I were to explain this to somebody, would I say this employee of choice was something developed by the HR professional organizations in the U.S., or what's the origins and where do the standards for that get set, or is this what you in a lot of industry sort of
I didn't invent it, sure. That's one reason I gave you a number of articles written about this term. I don't know who invented the term employer of choice. Okay. Some smart person who was thinking about it, I'm sure, coined that. But in the literature I gave you, there's a number of very good articles, and most of them based on research, where they're trying to deduce, well, what are the characteristics of a company that has, the kinds of performance, HR performance, in terms of, retention and high engagement, and what is it that those firms are doing differently than those who are not. And from that they deduce, okay, these are the characteristics that make an employer of choice. You could actually call it, a great employer or a best place to work, or there's other things you could do it. We've selected employer of choice because I think that is emerging as sort of the term that has been in common use in both public sector and private sector organizations.
I kind of like that term because people choose to come to your organization and they choose to leave. So I think that employer of choice is really, that's what we want to do. We want to bring good people and we want to retain them. So I like the term we've chosen.
Yeah, that's a good question, Dave.
But I'm 100% agree with this. I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. But this is being an employer of choice. Is that you don't get to that and okay, check, we're now an employer of choice. It's a goal. It's a vision.
Yeah,
it's something.
It's a journey, and it will be a journey.
So if you say you're an employer, then you're kind of like you're saying these are the things we're working toward. So you can be assured that it would be a good place to work, right? Nobody's coming in to audit you on your procedures from a personnel group to say, oh, gee, you could do this better, right? It's all organically.
From my perspective, I think Lee touched on a lot of this already, but I think we'll feel it. I think people who come to interview here will feel the energy of the culture. I think people who are hired and start here will feel it. They'll feel a welcoming place where they're appreciated and their ideas listened to. I think we'll feel that people are staying and we have some continuity as opposed to the high turnover that we used to have. And we still have turnover higher than we do. And Lee also touched on this. We're gonna, the end user, the residents here and the businesses who operate in town are gonna feel it. They're gonna feel that they're responded to quickly and appropriately and they're gonna get good services. Yeah. So I think it's something that we're gonna feel. I don't picture myself ever saying, oh, we're an employer of choice, or telling someone who applies here, we're an employer of choice and put a seal on it. I think it's something we're going to feel that we're doing better, and we're going to know we're doing it better. We're going to be confident, and our employees and our residents are going to feel confident in that they are in the right place. And I think that's, in a capsule, I think that's what he's telling us. That's what I hear.
I think that's right.
Lee, one question. I know, like, this is more employer of choice is a culture. It's what we do for our employees, and it's probably constantly going to be evolving, like with things changing, right? But how do we keep the pulse on it, and how do we make sure that we are making progress? Is there a way to
It's a great question.
figure that out?
You just stole my question.
Yeah. So if I were in your shoes, what I would do is I would have a conversation with Mike around the time you're making his goals, or he's making his goals and you're talking about his goals, and employer choice should be on it. What are we going to do in this year to push the ball further down the field?
Yeah.
Right? Let's look at the key metrics that we're tracking. Turnover. Okay, well, it was 12%. We know where a baseline is.
Yeah.
Engagement. We know where a baseline is. What are some reasonable goals for good, better, best at, a year from now? I think, you have a conversation about it. You set reasonable goals, and you talk about it, and you say, wait a minute, how come the turnover went to 20% from 12%? What happened? What are we doing wrong? Well, maybe there's some reasons, but I think I always think of the board and the CEO, if I may, it's a supervisory relationship. He needs from you what any employee needs from their supervisor. Some clarity around what the expectation is, and then some engaged dialogue about how we're going to measure whether we're getting there or not. Is that clear? Is that answer clear? I'm not making an assignment to you. I'm just saying what I would do. You ask a question of how do we know that he's moving us forward in that direction? I think that's how I do it.
Yeah, Lee, I'm going to delve a little deeper. I'm going to into the nuts and bolts.
Yes.
I understand, kind of following up what Dave asked is, who's driving this?
Yes.
And I'm going to, on the opposite side of that, the day-to-day operation, and if you hear my question, the day-to-day, the nuts and bolts, who's going to be able to provide the metrics, as you just mentioned? Are we getting more employees? Is it the personnel board? Is it going to be Rajan? Is it going to be Mike? Who's going to be able to tell us, the select board, well, you're making progress here, but you're not making progress here? Who's going to have the data? Because a lot of the decisions that we're going to have to make is going to be based off data. You've already provided data here, as far as what it was and what it can be and what it costs us. But the decisions we need to make, because myself personally, this is a culture, as we just said, and we're going to see progress along the way. And the way you see progress along the way is by having the metrics, or by having the research done, saying, yeah, we have less people leaving, or we now have more people applying for a position. Who is going to be doing that?
Right. So, great question, Bob. Thank you. Rajan we meet monthly. We don't have to meet monthly, but we meet monthly. Rajan gives us a monthly report of how many employees we got, how many open positions do we have, what's the status of the recruiting for those, what are we doing in terms of systems development, things like that. It's an ongoing dialogue, so the personnel board knows what's going on the HR side. We're not the HR department, we're not the HR manager, but we should be in a position, the personnel board should be in a position to answer the exact kind of questions that you're looking for. I don't think it's the select board's job to do that research, but I think as the personnel board asks itself, what is the highest value thing we could do to help the town, fulfill its goal as an employer? It's to support the TA and the ATA, and ask good questions and provide good insights, and also ask Rajan, tell me about turnover. Do you have the turnover information? Well, it hadn't been something we've ever tracked, to my knowledge, right? So it took us about 3 hours worth of digging to take that. And one of the higher level things is we need better data management, and we're on the way to doing that, right? We're still using paper timesheets. I don't know if we've moved over yet or not, but I mean, an employer of choice does not use paper timesheets in 2024. Right?
That's something the town meeting approved in May, and we'll be doing that turnover in October.
And we're moving forward to that. So I mean, that's just one thing, but it's an important thing. And as soon as we get into the electronic world with our HR systems, we'll be able to do better tracking of, how many days does it take to fill a position, right? What is our average tenure? What's our average age of our staff? Lots of things that will help us better understand where we are as an employer.
Because one of the things I don't want to do is I'm sure you're very familiar with, you don't want to send out a weekly survey. I mean, I was in an organization that they finally realized, stop sending out surveys every quarter. It wasn't working. They finally redid their surveys, and they did them less frequently, but more depth and more knowledge input is what was required. And I just didn't want to see Mike sending out a monthly invoice, a monthly survey saying, "Oh, hi, how are we doing? And, what are you going to complain about?" Because, as you know, employees blow those surveys off as easily as they throw away their lunch. And so I don't want to just base it on surveys. I want to base it on real factual data.
So this is a good example of how the Personnel Board can work with the TA and the ATA. Is we talked about, well, doing an engagement survey to baseline measure where we are. Okay. It took us, I think, 3 or 4 iterations to come up with a survey that the Personnel Board felt like was the right survey, because we'd never done one before, right? Rajan had never done one, and so that got done. It got sent out, and then the question is, what did we hear? Mm-hmm. How many people responded to it percentage-wise, and what did that tell us? When are we going to do another one? Yeah. And how are we going to communicate all this to the employees? So that's the dialogue we've been having.
Exactly
right?
my questions. Exactly my questions.
Yeah, with Rajan, and what we decided is, I think that engagement survey might best go out every other year, but it's really important, not every year, but every other year, but no more frequently than annually. Yeah. But it's really important to circle back with the employees and say, thank you for responding. Here's what we heard, and here's what we're doing about it. Yeah. Right. So that's the process we're in right now.
Good.
Go ahead.
Yep, if you could get to a mic, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, he's got the mic here. Oh, no, there's another one back there, okay.
I appreciate everything you've put together, and I understand it. And looking at it from my perspective of what I've done with my staff, that sometimes I've just handed a ragtag team, and I have to make them work. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's mediocre, but we still accomplish the task. You're going to have to look at a lot of things, and some of the stuff is not going to be data. Because if you start a new exercise routine and all you look at is the scale, muscle weighs more than fat. So as you lose fat and you gain muscle, you're going to be looking at the scale and say, I'm getting heavier. Oh my, I got to work out harder. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. And you have to look at the people around you, or your workout partner. You're looking at them. Oh, hey, I see you're slimming down. You're just, things fit differently. You're looking at the pride of that person. But one of the things that Mike might see is less sick days. That's going to be some of your data in HR. He's going to see less broken equipment because people take more pride in their stuff. So that's going to save you money if a piece of equipment's broke down all the time and you're just pouring money into it because they're slamming a door or they're just dropping it or whatever. If they start taking pride in it, you're going to see that in their demeanor. You're going to see it in your community, because your community is going to say, hey, that crew came through here and they did a really great job. That's what they're going to tell you as a select board member. You're not going to be able to pick that out of a data pile. Yeah. So you're going to have to look at a lot of things. Look at some of the data, but also look beyond it and look at that person. Are they happy to come to work? And they're going to tell other people, because we are not just in our own little cocoon here. You live next to another town, or you have a bowling league in another town. You're going to be talking. Your employees are going to be talking. That's what you want. You want them to start saying, hey, yeah, Mom, their friends are going to be saying, oh, my boss is such a jerk. And they're going to say, hey, my boss is pretty cool. We have our differences, but hey, he lets me do this, I do that. Boom. Those are the things you're going to have to look at. And again, it's like an exercise routine. It's going to take time. You have to encourage it. We don't always like to exercise. We have to kind of force ourselves to get in there. So you, as a select board, and Lee, you're going to have to keep encouraging those employees to keep doing what they do. If you follow football, I know you got the Patriots, sorry, but when you look at the Green Bay Packers, they played outside, but they won a Super Bowl. They're used to that hard work, and they took pride in their little, outdoor arena, but they were led by great coaches, and that's what you are. You get more out of them, not by beating them, but by coaching, mentoring, and looking at what is going to drive them harder and do a better job. So it's just my perception, and just wanted to throw that out there, that please don't just look at data, because you'll start going down a wrong rabbit hole. Look at everything.
Appreciate that comment, and I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Jim.
folks.
Thank you. Anything else? Anybody?
Wasn't.
Wes?
No, I think this is important to do.
I do too.
Yeah, well, on board, Dave. Thank you for putting it together and providing that roadmap to do that. I think it's terrific.
Yeah.
This is a great step for the town to move forward. It really is.
Thank you, I appreciate that, appreciate the support.
Yeah. Thank you, Les. Thank you, Mike and Roger.
And
I think a
we're
lot of
closing the
work went
borders
into
to
it.
Texas, by the way.
What's that?
We're closing the borders to Texas.
I think we missed that one.
Yeah, we didn't have good attrition there anyway.
Yeah, we missed that one.
I will just say that I'm looking to find a successor chair, but I'm serious about all the energy on this fire station building committee, which is very, very important, specialized, but it is a point in time kind of, I mean, it's a 3, 4, 5 year commitment, but I mean, the personnel board is a long-term kind of thing. We've got 4 people who have been working on it for, since I've been on it. We need some other folks who are lining up for it. We need one immediately, and we're going to need another one early next year.
So the board is 5 members then?
It's 5 members appointed by the select board.
Okay.
Yes. Alan McLean is, I've been working on him to take over the chair, and he's a HR attorney. He's very capable, but he also has a young family, and he's busy, and he has other things. But I'm hoping he has the passion for it and the time to do it. Thank you very much.
So I guess,
Thank you.
I'll move to approve the memorandum as presented.
Is there a memorandum?
The resolution?
There's a resolution in the memorandum that I think Kelly. I have another copy of it. If
That was that
anybody needs it.
handout that I gave you before the meeting.
It's up on the screen. I'll second that.
All in favor? Any discussion? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Les.
Thank you, Lee.
Nice job, Lee.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you,
Les
Kelly.
Lee. I changed his name to Les.
I've been called a lot worse than Les, that's for sure.
So I guess to follow up on what the last thing that Lee said there was about the energy that's been around this fire station building committee and the project itself. I think that this resolution and this employer of choice initiative might be a rallying point to attract some people to the personnel board, because he's right. The people that have been there for a while. They do great work, but their committee is shrinking, and they could use a couple of more people on there. So maybe we build something around this resolution and this initiative to try to attract people to this energy that you're creating.
If I may speak candidly, I also did an analysis not long ago, going back through town reports for the last 10 years to see who was on the personnel board in the past, and there were many very capable people on the personnel board, but I think there was a disconnect between what the select board had in mind for the select board for the personnel board to do and what the personnel board thought needed to be done. Mm-hmm. And there were hurt feelings or disillusionment or whatever that resulted in some people saying, well, I will just maybe step off. And I don't know that you can recharge those very talented, capable, knowledgeable people. I've tried to personally, frankly, but I think the town has lots of people, if they would get excited about the importance of what the personnel board does. So I think that's how we got where we are. When I came on the personnel board, there was very little sort of continuity from the past, which was challenging. Anyway, that's what I say.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Lee.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We're going to be looking into the fiscal year 25 calendar revision. Right?
Yes.
Is that the next one?
And I think
Do we have the revision out?
Kelly has it.
So,
Yep, so it's just to move one meeting.
Oh, from the 23rd?
Right, because we thought, being only two days away from Christmas.
Yeah.
Maybe it would be worthwhile to have two meetings in a row, so the 9th and the 16th, and cancel the one that's the 23rd. I think people travel around that time, they're getting ready for family. So that was the one change, and then you notice down below that Kelly's also put in the highlighted the town meeting,
special town meeting.
Budget Saturday, Capital Saturday, special town meeting, which will be February 10th, and then the annual town meeting, of course, is the 12th. I think that's the real change. Is just moving the one just on the meeting.
no discussion. I move to approve.
Okay.
I'll go through it. I move to approve the select board meeting fiscal year 2025 calendar as presented.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Moved unanimously. Next, I think we just talked about it, the special town meeting target calendar.
So this one's a little busier, and it's new. So Kelly, Rajan, and I have been working on this calendar since last week. Since you last decided we're not going to do the November town meeting, we're going to go right to February. So we started mapping out what do we need to do to get to February 10th, and what are the things we need to do to put a warrant together. And the first thing would be opening the warrant. So we're proposing that we open the warrant in the middle of October.
Wow.
And then
Did we do that last time? In October?
no.
We did it much later, right?
Well, we started sooner because we had a November town meeting, so we were already well into the process. But the warrant for annual town meeting would be later. We're right now.
Oh, so this is for.
This is for special.
Okay, got it.
Just for special.
Okay.
And we just want to make sure, since we got a lot going on, that we got some important dates on, like opening the warrant, closing the warrant. Now, some of this is going to overlap with the calendar that we're currently building, which is from annual town meeting.
Yeah.
But we at least want to get the opening and closing and let people know these are the dates we need your articles and presentations by, so that we're ready for February before we roll out the next one for annual town meetings.
Oh, wow. I'm just thinking about the building committee, but like, that's tight.
It is.
Right? Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It's coming fast, and that's what got us thinking. We need to, get this out early to people so we start mapping our route to get there.
Yeah.
Mike, it's just a real picky thing, and I'm fine with the calendar. There's just some dates that are wrong, like the one that says print, warrant to printer, that should be it's on line 14. That should be 1/6/25, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of 24s.
Oh,
in there.
yeah.
There's a bunch of 24s that need to change to 25, that's all.
Yeah, thank you.
Good eye.
You're right.
All right. Anybody wants to make a motion?
I
just want to make a quick comment, since
Yes.
this is a first.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, everybody.
Who
This
are you?
is a different time than we've typically had a special or an annual, and we've got a new principal at Blanchard, so I just ask that once this gets voted, that we contact Mike Votto to make sure that Blanchard reserves those dates for your walkthrough and the special town meeting as well.
Good point.
They've already done that.
Thanks, Kelly.
Kelly had spoken with administration over at school and had saved two dates, the November date and the February. And last week she communicated after the last, or the week before, after the last select board meeting to cancel the November date so they could open that up to other things. So thank you. Good thought.
I'll move to accept the schedule as presented for the special town meeting dates.
Second.
Any discussion? Dave?
It's just that that's not what's in the, listed as the motion, but.
Is that okay? Do you want to read it from here?
Sure, I'll move to approve the February 10th, 2025, I believe, is that right?
Yes, 2025.
I'll move to approve the February 10, 2025 special town meeting target calendar as presented.
Second.
Thank you, sir.
Any discussion? No?
That's
All in
good.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passed unanimously.
We-
And then-
In this calendar, you'll notice that we kept the warrant open a little longer than usual. I think it's about 5 weeks, and we're hoping by doing that that we don't have to reopen and
And
reclose it
reclose,
as many
yeah.
times. It may happen, but we're hoping by keeping it open 5 weeks that we get everything in that we need to.
Yep.
And that's about as long as we can keep it open to get the warrant to the printer in time.
All right. We have the Steel Farm Committee Charter revisions.
Yeah, can you put that up, Kelly? I don't.
Are you going to be talking about that, Dave?
Yeah, yeah, Chris isn't here.
Yeah.
Basically, this was,
Good job, Kelly.
yeah, it's okay.
on the
Right,
highlighted.
okay, so basically, it was to change the language to just essentially say the committee will comprise a minimum of 5 members, all of whom shall be. We didn't want to have an end number, so because we want to make sure we've got the quorum issue addressed. So we will have at least 5, but it can be, the committee can have more.
So what will the quorum be?
It will be
Majority.
the
Majority.
majority
Okay.
of the, so that was it, and this came out of the, the discussions before about, sustainability, and sustainability, went with an actual, number at the end, but the discussion with the committee and actually we consulted with John Fallon as well on that, said that we could, he had some examples where he said, no, there are examples where we've had approved bylaws where it says a minimum of.
And so the quorum would be the majority of the currently appointed members?
Correct.
Yes. I mean, what's the advantage of leaving it open in terms of the members?
The advantage of having it open-ended? At Steel Farm, it's a fair amount of work, and there's not a lot of people in there, so we do need more volunteers over on that committee. So the more volunteers, the more work that can get done. It's not just a deliberating body. It's people who have to volunteer their time. We have people cutting the grass. We have people doing I'm a liaison to the committee, but I'm out working in the garden, trying to save
what
the-
else you do-
trying to save the trying to save the pollinators. So there's a lot. There is a fair amount of work. So there's no downside to having that open ended.
Kelly, can you move up just a little bit? Right there, no, right there, yep. I was just reading the core on the Mr. President.
Did we change about the quorum? I know it's not directly related to this, but like everywhere that it will be a majority in all our charters?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't
We
think-
did
okay.
change it in the fire station.
Fire
building
station,
committee.
okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, because that in the fire station committee it was specific, but it needed to be clarified.
So it's
That
similar to this now,
specificity.
so that's the
Yeah.
majority of the appointed members.
Members, yeah, okay. So that's why I asked, like, if it was everywhere we changed or just those two. Okay,
So I think as we're going along,
We will
we'll
probably
keep changing
changing.
them to this language.
okay. All right. Nothing else,
Good.
okay? You want to go ahead?
Oh,
Make the
yeah.
motion?
Shall
Yes,
I
that
make
is-
the motion?
Yes, you should.
Oh, I move to approve the Steel Farm Committee Charter revisions as presented.
Second.
Everybody said second. Pick one.
2 seconds, okay.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, so office reports next. What is it?
Have someone send that to you? Yeah, we'll take care of that.
All right.
So our new associate town planner started today.
Oh.
It was his first day, so we're excited to have Rafi on board.
Rafi?
Rafi, yes, R-A-F-I. And we think he's a great addition to the land use department and to our town hall staff. So we're excited about that.
Welcome, Rafi.
Welcome, Rafi.
Yeah, we'll probably have Alec bring him in at some point, but he'll be working together with Alec some, but they'll also be dividing and conquer, where they have a lot of boards and committees that they work with. And, I think it's while Rafi will go to some of the planning board meetings, there'll also be some other meetings that he goes to without Alec. Maybe sustainability, maybe housing, who knows, but those spread. And so Rafi's a welcome addition, and we're glad to have him here. He's a graduate of Northeastern University, where he got both his undergraduate and graduate degree in regional planning. He comes to us from the city of Boston, where he got good experience, but he was looking to broaden his experience. Sometimes in a large organization, you're doing a specific thing, whereas in a smaller organization like this, where there's less staff, you're doing a lot of things. And that was something that was really appealing to Rafi. So we're very glad to have him on board.
Mike, does he have, I don't know how to really ask the question. Does Alec have authority that Rafi won't have, or will they have equal authorities regarding signing, and anything? I don't know how to ask the question.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to divide that up initially. So as far as Alec, he's the land use director, so he has more staff reporting to him. The Board of Health, that office, and the Building Inspections office is under Alec. But as far as like a plan review and things like that, I think eventually, once Rafi is mentored and and the two of them, Rafi and Alec, are comfortable, I think that he would probably have, I would imagine, he would have very similar authority as far as plan review and things like that.
That's kind of what I was saying, because if he goes to a committee meeting, is he always going to say, "Well, I got to check with Alec"? I mean, there was that going to at some point saying, "I think this is fine. I can approve this." Is that the intent of this position?
I would imagine that he's going to have some independent authority with the boards and committees that he's working with on a regular basis.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Good. But we'll bring Alec and Rafi in here to give a little more,
Once they work it out.
Yeah, but that would be what I would anticipate.
Great, good.
Anything else, Mike?
Nope.
Would it be possible for you to expand on the housing ruling? Or it is still not very clear?
No, there were a couple of things that jumped out at me. So the governor signed into law last week a new law that affects housing, and trying to make more housing options in the Commonwealth. One of the biggest changes is the accessory dwelling units. So accessory dwelling units are now will be allowable by right up to 900 square feet, and the biggest change is that it's not restricted to family members. So if somebody has an accessory dwelling unit that is attached, just one accessory dwelling unit, to a single family home, that will be allowed by law, by right, up to 900 square feet to a non-family member, which is something that wasn't allowed before. It had to be a family member, in residence there. There were a couple other pieces to that law. And I can't recall them right offhand.
Okay.
But
No.
we can give a little more of an update on that at a future meeting.
That would be helpful.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else? Anybody had any updates?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, just to bring people up to date, so Liz's niece was visiting us about 2 months ago. And so she has an iPhone and apparently was trying to change the volume on it. And so if you hit the power button on your iPhone, it calls 911.
Yeah.
Or if you hit it like multiple times. Don't do that because then it'll dial 911. And so she didn't tell me that that was happening, and I was home. And then we had Officer Turner show up, and my dog was outside and ran around and jumped up on him. He claimed that he bit her, or she bit him. But I put the dog inside, went down to check on him, and Officer Brezihead was there, and he was fairly rude, and was like, "Go back up there, I'll come talk to you when I need to." And so then they took him away in the ambulance. I don't really know why. But apparently I inquired to make sure that he was okay, because I didn't see what happened, and my front door footage didn't really catch it. And so I was told that he was fine, effectively, and then 2 weeks later, I got a letter from an attorney who I know Brett Pelly has used to sue residents in town, and so saying that Officer Turner was suing me. And so I'm just wondering if that's what Brett meant by saying getting back to the Boxborough policing way. So then I filed a public records request to get information to defend myself and provide to an attorney. The police department then tried to charge me $500 to fill the records request. I appealed it with the state. The state sided with me and said that they were legally charging me. And so I'm not really sure. And then to add insult to injury, last weekend somebody was speeding on Stowe Road, and the puppy got out of the electric fence and then was hit and killed instantly, not too far from where the fire station possibly could be going. And so I'm not sure when we started charging people for records requests or the process that it goes, but we may want to look at it as a town because it seems like it's fairly selective and punitive in a way, and it's very hard to feel that I'm not being targeted. And so I just think that we might want to evaluate how and when we just charge residents for information.
I would assume that we have a process for the amount that we are.
There is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pretty detailed process.
Yeah.
So and what Wes said is that he had asked for a lot of records, and then an estimate came back for how many hours it would take to fill those records, and the town can charge up to $25 an hour for anything that's not easily accessible. So if I have something that I already have compiled or whatever, I just have to turn over those records. But if it's something that has to be analyzed or somehow produced, other than just turning it over, then municipalities can charge to produce those records. And so that's what happened. And I think it was estimated at like 15 3/4 hours to produce those records. And Wes thought that seemed like an unreasonable amount of time, and the state agreed with Wes and came back and said, the town and the resident should talk about it, see how we can reduce the ask for the amount of records, and then also see if we can reduce the amount of time that it takes to fulfill this request, thereby reducing the cost of the records. But so there is a process, and the town can only charge up to, I think it says the lowest paid employee,
or $25,
or $25 per hour is the most that a town can.
But no, I guess my point is mainly that it's kind of, to me, arbitrary where you let departments who are responding assess a fee, but the fee doesn't even go to that department. It goes to the town. And so that's just, I guess, where I see the disconnect, or maybe having a standardized policy, because you can choose to charge a fee or you don't have to. There's no law saying we are compelled to charge people. That's all I was trying to bring up and suggest that maybe we look at it in a future time.
Well, Mike, is the way we determine to charge the resident, kind of what you said, if it's readily available, we don't charge them, but if you have to research it and pull up old records, then we do charge them. Is that kind of the?
That's correct.
That's kind of the go, no-go?
That's
I'll
correct.
start, whatever words you want to put on it.
Right.
If it's readily available, whether it be 1 record or 5 records, there's no, we won't charge the resident.
Correct.
If you have to do research to get those records, then we're gonna charge the resident some number of some dollar amount.
Right, and the idea being is if, and we're a service organization, we're here to provide service to the residents and the resident business owners here that are in town. I believe the intent of the ability to charge, and you don't have to charge, but I believe the state saying that you can charge is that if you're pulling people away from their work, what service are they not providing when you're, when you're doing that? So I believe that's the intent of that.
Right.
Whether that's the best way that it works, I don't know, but I believe that's probably the intent.
Okay.
The only thing my concern is, like, I know if it was 500, that's almost like 20 hours. So, I mean, it can't be you all the time trying to figure out or manage, like, is it really gonna take 20 hours? So maybe this is an opportunity for us to, like, maybe review with the department heads to see what is a reasonable amount of time that might take. Maybe they need to be a little bit more involved or in tuned for the time that it's gonna take.
Right. Well, they actually are. So the records access officer for the town in this town is the town clerk, and it generally is. And when a records request comes in to her, most often it's not something that she's gonna, it may be.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's police records. A lot of times it might be something from planning department, or board of health, whatever. She's gonna go to that department, and she'll have things that, when the police investigation was going on, a lot of the stuff was being sent down to me, or the police department. So she does depend on that department to know how much time it's gonna take. So this particular record, it was all police records, and it was vetted out to 3 different people in the police department for the things that they handle. And so they came up with the hours, and then it was sent back to Becky, and then she's the one who sent in the estimate. And then it has since been reduced in hours.
No, I know that, and I saw that, and I appreciate that. But my whole thing is, like, I think we've only recently started charging people, like, outside of, like, planning board decisions and stuff like that, where it's literally mounds of paper that you're going through. Like, from my recollection, we haven't really been, the charging of fees associated with records request is within the last 5 years of my understanding. And so I was just questioning, maybe we should change that.
Not charge at all.
Not necessarily that, like, right? So you have, like, if a developer comes in and they're looking to build something and they need a ton of stuff, there's that. But, like, a lot of times this back and forth is actually spending more time and more people's time than it would actually to just fill the request.
So should we not charge resident, or would it just be external people?
I would suggest, like, external people, or, like, there's easy ways to work with people and say, hey, is there any way we can make this more reasonable? We don't want to charge you for it, but this is large in scope, or something like that. But it was just very abruptly responded with, here's your fee. And so all I was just saying is maybe we, as a town, should look at it and evaluate who and when we choose to charge people, so that way it's at least consistent, because my understanding is right now it's just up to the individual who responds to it.
Right. Well, and that gets to the point of kind of what I was asking is, like, do we make a decision that we won't charge residents and we'll only charge non-residents?
I don't know if that, I am not 100%, I wouldn't probably 100% agree, because, I mean, if we do have a lot of record requests that keeps coming, and if we are taking our staff away from what they are supposed to do, so there's got to be some amount of, like, it has to be individual basis, but it has to be discussed. At the same time, we also have to have some guidelines. I do agree in terms of, like, what Wes is saying, we need to have some kind of the guidelines. My pitch like jump in and
So
say,
can
like, but
I,
I just.
can we
yeah, go
put this
ahead.
on a future, I mean, because we're sort of deliberating on this here, and it's not, it wasn't on the agenda. Can we put this on?
Yeah, we'll definitely.
On a, you know,
On
one
the
of our
future
meetings
agenda?
to kind of
Okay.
come to,
Yeah.
you know, that process, so that, you know, I mean, people can sort of.
Can give their
yeah,
input,
Yeah,
yeah.
they can provide their input as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
That's it. Anybody else? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion? No?
Or-
All in
no.
favor?
There you go. I am no.
All in
Aye.
favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Kelly, is there